It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business, and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. This is a Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 12. Get her done.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He admits it. He watches iCarly on Nickelodeon. Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Hiring shouldn't be a hassle or a drain on your budget. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent, saving you time and keeping costs in check all in one place. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way that they staff key projects and initiatives by assessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, administration support, marketing, and more. And I've personally used them myself and can vouch for them. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Go there now. Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome to the 12th session of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending some time with me today. And you know what? 2011, that sounds kind of funny. 2011 is coming up very, very soon. It's the end of 2010, and I know you all want to crush it next year. And that's why in today's session, we're going to be talking about getting things done. Or in other words, just how to be productive. You know, a lot of people have been coming up to me and emailing me and asking me lately about how I get so much stuff done. And as many of you know, I have my foot in many different income pools like niche sites, affiliate marketing, I do writing for blogs, iPhone apps, revenue sharing article sites, and I also write content on my blog, produce videos for YouTube, and of course, you know, audio for these podcasts. And I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, and sometimes featured on other blogs and podcasts in interviews, and I'm in their comments on their blogs, and I'm in forums. You know, people tell me I'm lying. They straight up tell me I'm lying when I say I typically work an average of 4 hours a day. But, you know, that's the honest truth because that's really how much time I have. Now, before my son was born, I was working a lot from home. But at the same time, I feel like I was getting a lot less done than I am now. And I think now that my son is born and my schedule is pretty much determined by him, it really is. I've learned to maximize the precious time that I have and get rid of the distractions and really focus on that work that produces an outcome. And if you've been following me this year, you know massive things have happened for me ever since my son was born, which is awesome. So I'm glad, you know, I've been able to increase my readership on my blog. You know, I started this podcast in 2010, and I've been able to stay at home and watch my son grow up. It's amazing. And I think it's all because of the different experiments and different things I'm going to be talking about today that I've done on myself to help me become more productive. And, you know, I could ramble about this kind of stuff for hours, but I want to really try and structure this session so it's a little more organized. And, you know, in case you're taking notes or something, it'll be much easier to follow and take action. So I want to break this session into 3 different parts. First, I want to talk about mental hacks. This is your mindset type stuff that's really important for goal setting and staying productive and getting things done. Secondly, I want to talk about physical hacks, stuff you can do to, you know, your actual physical body, which will help you become more productive. I know that sounds funny, but honestly, you know, when I went through the P90X Extreme Home Fitness Program, I have been able to do so much more, and that's just one example, you know, staying fit and how much it can help you with your work and your blog and your business. So we'll get more into that. In the third part, I want to talk about work hacks. This is the actual work-related things you could do to help you become more productive, which will include a lot of tools and resources that I use to stay on course, many specifically for online businesses and blogging, and it'll sort of tie everything together. So again, mental hacks, physical hacks, and work hacks. And you know, I want to start out talking about our mentality, which I believe is the most important factor in staying productive, you know, working smart and reaching our goals. But a lot of what I'll be talking about might cross over between physical hacks and work hacks too. So just bear with me. I've got a lot of great tips to share, just again from my own experience. And, you know, finally, before we get into this, as a disclaimer, these are tips and tricks that have helped me. You know, stuff that I figure out on my own and stuff that I've learned from other sources. And I'll try my best to give credit to where credit is due. That I've learned what works best for me. So some of these things may or may not work for you because we're all different kinds of people. We all have different styles of learning, of working, feeling motivated, and getting things done. So really, it all comes down to you and you consciously keeping track of how productive you are and experimenting using your own tactics or tactics that I'm going to share with you today to see what kinds of things work best for you. And hopefully, I can give you just a few things here in this session that you can use as motivation or at least a starting point to finding, again, what works best for you and how to stay productive and get things done. And again, really crush it next year in 2011. So let's get right to it. Again, first we're going to talk about mental hacks. And the main point I want to get across to you when it comes to productivity, especially mentally, is this quote here, is there's a huge difference between working on something and working towards something. Again, there's a huge difference between working on something and working towards something. A lot of times, we end up working just for working. We end up working for work's sake, meaning we do things that keep us busy and make us feel like we're getting somewhere. But in reality, those things that we're doing aren't getting us anywhere. So here's the quote. This is the actual quote that I actually have posted on my cork board next to my computer so I can see it every day. That has to do with this. The quote is, "Do something that matters." Do something that matters. This quote can be interpreted in a lot of ways, actually, from the actual goals that I have with internet business and blogging, which means, doing something good and doing something that will benefit others, improving the internet, making the internet a better place, which if you've listened to the session with Nicole Dean, that's where I learned that phrase from, and I truly believe it. And not only that, but exactly what I'm working on at the time, which is the stuff that drives results. Do something that matters. Are you doing something that is getting you somewhere? This leads right into my next point, which is knowing what your goals are in the first place. You must set goals. If you don't know your goals or you haven't set them yet, then what is it then that you're working towards? And to use this analogy, you're in a car driving to an unknown destination. You're just wanderlessly going. You don't even know where you're going. You're using up gas. You're putting wear and tear in your car. You're, polluting the environment, but for what? So when it comes to goals, I like to use this acronym to describe how goals should be, which I'm sure many of you have heard before. Your goals must be SMART, SMART, which is perfect because that actually goes along with my brand, Smart Passive Income. Now, those letters stand for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. I'm pretty sure most of you have heard this before. If not, I think it comes from the project management industry. And what's funny is actually, I looked that up in Wikipedia. That's what it told me. And there are other mnemonics like DUMB, D-U-M-B, which is pretty funny because that stands for doable, understandable, manageable, and beneficial goals. It's pretty much the same type of thing. So you can be smart, or you can be dumb. Okay, anyways, joking aside, let's go through each of these SMART goals really quickly for you. Again, this is really important to consciously think about making your goals fit these criteria in order to make them happen for you and be productive and get taking action to do those things. So again, the first one, S for SMART, is specific. Now let me ask you this. Is this goal specific enough? I want to be a millionaire when I'm older. No way. That's not specific at all. Now here's a better example. I want to be a millionaire when I'm 30. That's better, but a completely specific goal would be something like, I want to have $2.5 million in the bank by December 15th, 2013. Specific goals lead to specific actions, which, if understood, will help you get the right things done and stop wasting time. So when you set a goal, be as specific as possible. Now, the second part of SMART goals is measurable. Your goals should absolutely be measurable. Again, this helps us keep track of things, keep track of our progress primarily. So say you have a goal, which I know is a goal for many of you out there, is to build a popular blog. It's a good goal, but you can't really measure popularity because popularity is subjective. If I ask 100 people what makes a blog popular, I'm going to get 100 different answers. Certain quantities of RSS subscribers, or maybe it's the amount of traffic, or people subscribe to an email list, or the number of comments. There's no way to measure that. So how can you track your progress unless you put some measurable units into your goal? You can't. And then how will you ever know if you've ever reached your goal? It's pointless unless it's measurable. So put some numbers into each of your goals, and when numbers aren't always used, which aren't always appropriate for the various goals that you may have, put a date to it, and because you can measure time too. All right, so number 3, attainable. I'm all for going big. Go big. Please have huge dreams. Go big. I always recommend going big, but of course your goals should be attainable. So, for example, in 2009, I wrote a post about my goals for the next year, this year, 2010. And one of those goals was to have at least 10,000 subscribers for my blog by December 31st, 2010. Now, I realize 10,000 is just kind of an arbitrary number. Nothing crazy happens on my blog between 9,999 and 10,000. But, again, going back to number one, it's a specific goal. It's measurable. And, this was a very high goal for me, especially considering I only had about 2,000 to 3,000 subscribers at this time. But it was attainable. And in fact, I reached my goal already in September and have since changed that number to 15,000, which I'm very close to right now. I think I'm at 14,630 or something like that. I'm really close. And I'm, what day is it? I got like 10 days left to reach that goal. So hopefully I'll get there. I'm working on it. Now, if I had set an unrealistic, unattainable goal of 100,000 subscribers by New Year's, I would have totally been let down. Right now, like I said, I'm at 14,000. I would have totally undershot and just been totally demotivated. Setting a goal like that can actually backfire on you because it deflates your motivation and your productivity. So again, make sure you set your goals specific, measurable, and attainable. Make sure it is possible to reach those goals. Now, number 4, why create goals for yourself that don't align with what you're trying to do? You want to make your goals relevant. That's the R in SMART, relevant. If the goals you're setting don't align with your beliefs or what you're trying to achieve or where you want to be in life, then why are those your goals? A good example of this is if I were to set a goal to own a Fortune 500 company. And that's a goal I'm sure a lot of people have, but that's not who I want to be or where I want to be. So that's why I create goals that deal with passive income and helping people online, which is what I am passionate about, what I want to do. And I've been striving toward those goals, reaching them, creating new ones, all relevant to the lifestyle that I want to live and how I believe business should be done for myself, obviously. Now, number 5, the last part of SMART, is timely. This is very important because all goals should have a deadline. I truly believe this. Time-sensitive goals are goals that get done and push us to do even more. Now, I've talked about setting deadlines as a productivity hack many times on my blog before, and it works every single time, especially, for me at least. If I feel like I'm not going to, accomplish something or do a task when it's supposed to be done, when it's due, I literally get like a stomach ache. And so it really pushes me to reach those goals. Seeing that date there in my calendar creeping up on me. Plus, if you have 10 days to reach your goal, just this is an example. If you have 10 days to reach your goal, by day 5, halfway through, you can see how you're progressing and you can actually adjust accordingly. So if you don't know when something is supposed to be done, then you won't have any idea how you're progressing and if you're on the right track or not. So as a reminder, create SMART goals. It helps me big time with overall productivity. Set a goal or think about the one that you have already, because I know you do have one or at least one, and consciously go through the SMART criteria to make it work. Now, here's another important part of the mindset of being productive, which I know many of you out there are having trouble with, especially with the kind of entrepreneurial mindset that we all have. And that is staying focused on one thing at a time or learning to balance all of the ideas in our heads. A typical entrepreneur might have 100 or thousands of ideas floating through our brains simultaneously. And, that sparks all this wonder, hope, dreams, and different actions that we have to take. And just so many, our brains, I call it the business bug. I get the business bug all the time, but I've learned how to deal with that. And this is good. Ideas are fantastic, and I always tell myself to write down every single idea that I have now. Since getting an iPhone, I put it in my iPhone because they can easily be forgotten. And I'm sure I've forgotten some $1 million ideas before, and I wish I could go back and remember them. There were some good ones, I know. And you never know if one of those ideas that you've forgotten might be your next big win. It's also because of social media and technology and all the latest and greatest things that are out there to help our businesses or say that they help our businesses. It's really easy to get sucked into those things, get pulled back and forth between this and that and never actually get any real work done. The trick to staying productive with all of our ideas, all the hoopla and information out there, and the trick to actually completing those things that we want to do is to just simply focus on one project or task at a time. I'm sure you've heard that before. It sounds simple, but if you're somewhat of an experienced entrepreneur, you know that that's totally not the case. It's not simple. Trust me. So now you might think that I'm actually a complete liar here because, like I said earlier, I had my hand in so many different projects. But in truth, I'm actually only focusing on one project at a time. And I have specific times where I work on specific things that do require upkeep, such as writing blog posts and keeping up with this podcast. Excuse me. Now, the reason it seems like I'm doing so much when I'm really not, again, like I said, I only have 4 hours a day, 4 to 5 hours a day to work, is because of the power of passive income and what this whole podcast and my blog is about, which is creating businesses or income streams that, once set up, can be run on autopilot and work for you instead of the other way around. So, for instance, let's take niche sites, for example. This is something that I've been getting into lately. Finding a really profitable keyword through keyword research and building a website about it and putting ads or putting up offers on there and making money from it. It takes a little bit of time to do the proper keyword research, set up the website, create some content, and build backlinks to it so it climbs the ranks of Google. But after that time, which for my niche site dual security guard training website was about 60 hours of total work, 1 hour a day for about 2 months before I got to the number one spot in Google for it. Now I hardly do any work on it and I can do something else. And I've actually been working on new iPhone apps because I have this income stream that's working for me. I have all my other income streams that are, earning passive income or virtually earning a passive income for me. So now I'm doing more iPhone apps, which is great because I love it. It's fun. I get to be a little creative. So, while I'm creating my iPhone app, my niche site is sitting there at number one in Google, earning an income. And I do go back to my automatic income streams from time to time to make sure they're updated to, maybe 2 hours a week, check on stats or test ad placements or test stuff, other things and like affiliate offers or add more content. But anyways, when I get to the point where I've completed designing my iPhone application and I hand it over to my developer, I know that I have about 2 to 3 weeks time before I get my first test version where I can do something else, like create another niche site or work on an ebook or work on my next, planning my next big thing. So I'm essentially working on multiple projects at the same time. Multiple projects are getting done for me at the same time, but in a way that allows me to continue to focus on each one at a time until I get to a certain stopping point. So if I'm working on a project, I make sure I go all the way through it until it gets to a point where it gets handed off or I can step away from it and work on something else. But it has already, I've already completed that part of it. I reached that stopping point. Now, this may sound a little confusing and like it's all jumbled up because there's so much going on. But I promise you, it's actually not as hard as it sounds, and I'll share with you in the work hack segment, the third part of this podcast, exactly how I keep track of all this using a certain type of folder goal setting system, which I'll share with you that works for me, and what you can do for each of your projects you're working on to make sure you're getting things done and staying productive and you know what the next steps are. Now, there are 3 more quick things I want to talk about when it comes to the mindset. And like I said, the mindset is hugely important, which is why I'm spending a major chunk talking about it here today. It's hugely important for productivity. And all of these 3 things have to do with motivation. Because motivation is the key to staying productive. Because let's face it, when we have a brand new idea, the juices are flowing, things are going well, but the buzz always dies down, usually. And we often get to a point where we feel like we may not be on the right track anymore, or we're just bored. And it's at this point where many ideas, sometimes great, fantastic ideas, die, which is sad. So motivation will help us get through those tough parts and help keep us going. One major factor when it comes to motivation is support. If you're working alone and don't have anybody's support from your family, friends, or your online acquaintances, it's going to be really, really tough to stay motivated. And man, okay, I was very, very fortunate to have such a caring and understanding fiance who of course is now my wife, who at the time of my layoff 2 years ago was totally supportive of my decision to do business online. I guarantee you that if she told me I was making the wrong decision, that would have been running through my mind the entire time I was setting up my businesses and monetizing my blog. And I probably would never have finished that ebook, which, if you remember, has helped me earn over $200,000 last year. So support is huge. And if you're not always going to get it, you're not always going to get it. There's going to be people out there who are going to say you're not doing the right things, but you got to be confident in yourself and find support of others. It's very important. Mastermind groups are fantastic for this, and I'll put a link to a post about mastermind groups in the show notes on the blog. So another major motivation factor is accountability. For me, when I know that others know what I'm trying to accomplish, it totally pushes me to keep going and succeed. And to be honest, this is partly the reason why I share so much on my blog, because you guys hold me accountable just for me publicly saying what I'm going to do. When I started the P90X program, for example, the Extreme Home Fitness program, I announced it on my blog, and every day I was going through that program, I thought about how bad it would be if I just gave up, how many people I would have let down if I didn't go through with it. And of course, as many of you know, I completed the program and had some really, really major results, life-changing results, actually. So thank you for those of you who supported me through that and held me accountable. I'll link to the post in the show notes on the blog in case you're interested in seeing some before and after pictures. And just as a warning, my shirt is off in those pictures in case you don't want to see me with my shirt off. Anyways, the same goes for the niche site duel, because everyone was watching me and Tyrone create niche sites from scratch. And we totally wanted to crush it for you guys, and you guys were holding us accountable. That kept me going. That kept us going. And like I said before, my site is doing extremely well. It's now on the top of Google. Tyrone's site is sitting on the number one spot of Google for his keyword as well, and he's making some income. So, again, thank you guys for holding us accountable. Accountability is huge. And the last part of having to deal with motivation is actually rewarding yourself, even for the tiniest of wins. This is very important because it's all about motivation, helping you build that drive to keep going. And this is why it's so important to set up your goal as SMART, like we talked about earlier, specifically the S and M part of it, specific and measurable, because what you can do is break up that big goal that you have, whatever it may be, into smaller goals, smaller pieces that you could reach over time. And it feels really, really good to see that progress and reach those mini goals as you work towards that end goal that you have. It's huge for motivation. So for example, let's say I wanted to gain 12,000 email subscribers next year. I could break that down to obtaining only 1,000 email subscribers per month. And every month I reach 1,000 new subscribers, it would be really motivating for me and help me keep going to climb that number even higher. And like we were talking about earlier, that's a measurable goal. So if for 1 month I only obtained, 800 email subscribers, I would know that, in order to catch up, I would have to earn 1,200 the next month, and so on and so forth. So if your goal is to complete an ebook, for example, if that's what you're trying to be productive with, you can break the entire book down into chapters and make each chapter an actual separate goal. And after you complete each, reward yourself. You'll be that much more motivated to complete more as your book starts to complete itself over time. So that, again, breaking your big goals down into smaller goals just to make yourself feel motivated to keep going is huge. And again, that's a way to actually experience the measurable, attainable part of that SMART goal that you have. So, that's all I'm going to talk about for the mindset part. Now we're going to get into some physical hacks, stuff you can do to your body, which will help you become more productive. So this section will go fairly quickly, but these are all still really important things. Some of them are just really little things that you can do that'll make a huge difference in your output. So the first one that comes to mind is eat a better breakfast. I don't know how many times my dad told me to eat a better breakfast when I was in high school. I never ate breakfast until I got to college, and I learned that it helped me tremendously. It just helped me physically get through the day. It helped me become a better learner. It helped me do a lot more things, especially when it came to being in the marching band. Eat a better more wholesome breakfast. Seriously, that's hugely important. I know some of you might be rolling your eyes right now like, oh, what is this advice? Why is Pat telling me this stuff on a passive income podcast? Well, it's true. Trust me, if you're not eating a good breakfast, try it for a week and see how much more work you can get done. Get more sleep. Obviously, that's a big one, although I'm fairly lucky because I can run on 4 to 5 hours of sleep. I think this comes from my architectural days back in studio when we were often up for 3 days straight. Honestly, 3 days straight, 72 hours. Is that 3 days? 72, 24? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, 72 hours straight working on a final projects. So I've learned to do certain things during the day, which help me get through it, even though I don't get much sleep. Obviously, as recommended, 8 hours of sleep is ideal. Take a power nap during the day. I find that, especially when I was working 9 to 5, I would often get really tired, and I would take a 20-minute nap during lunch, and it would fire me up for the rest of the day. And I do that every once in a while now, especially now that I have my son who's just really, really active and takes a lot of energy out of my wife and I. Power naps are really huge. So these are 15 to 20-minute naps. Make sure you set an alarm so you wake up. But again, that will help you become more productive. So you don't always have to feel like, you have to stay up, or you have to, that you can't, take yourself away from work, because sometimes taking yourself away from the work that you're doing will actually reset your brain, reset your, your juices and flowing on the inside, and will make you work better and harder when you come back to it later. And you'll actually end up doing a lot more than you would have if you just kept going. Take short walks throughout the day, little 10-minute walks, just around the block or whatever. If it's raining like it is right now in San Diego, bring an umbrella or just walk around the house. Just get active, get up, get away from your computer screen a little bit. Totally helps. Another thing is drink a lot of water. Water is huge. This is something I learned with the P90X program. Water, is huge. I mean, just drink a little bit more water and see how much more work you'll be able to do. It's amazing. Stay physically fit and work out. Again, I keep going back to this P90X thing, but that was huge for me. Honestly, once I completed that program and I was probably in the best shape of my life, which I am right now, I've been able to get so much more done. I've been able to not even need any power naps during the day because I'm not really feeling tired. Only recently, because of my son, again, I've been feeling tired and have been needing those naps. But honestly, after finishing P90X, I feel so much more productive. The work that I'm doing has such higher quality, and I'm able to fit a lot more in shorter periods of time. Going back to food, stay away from too much sugar. So your dessert and your candy and your lollipops and stuff, that stuff just totally drains your energy. You'll get a sudden burst of energy. You'll get that sugar high, but then you're going to crash and you're not going to be able to think straight. If you need a sudden burst of energy, you're really down on your energy and you need something pick me up. Coffee always works for me. And also, actually, the 5-hour energy drink works for me too. Now, I'm not a doctor or anything, so check with your physician before consuming anything that I might say on this podcast. That's my little disclaimer. But, I don't recommend any of the larger type of energy drinks like Red Bull or Monster. There's a few other ones out there because you'll get some energy right away, all that vitamin B that goes into you. But there's also caffeine in it as well, which will then crash you and, not good. You'll have much less energy than you did before you consume those things after an hour or so. And definitely don't drink that, what is it called? Four Loko stuff. I don't know if you've heard this on the news lately, but there's this drink called Four Loko, which is apparently a terrible mixture of alcohol and caffeine, which is supposedly does some really bad things to your body. I've never tried it myself, but that is an energy drink, they say. So, just stay away from that. Another thing is to just get regular checkups with a doctor. Stay healthy. If you're sick and you're unhealthy, then you really can't enjoy everything you're working for. Stay healthy. Another one that's actually really big is just to smile. smile. Seriously, just smile. Smile every once in a while. Take a breath and enjoy what you're doing, and you'll get so much more done. A couple more things. Spend some time with your kids. This was huge for me. I know not all of you have kids out there, but when I spend time with my son throughout the day, I get a little workout, which kind of counts like a short walk throughout the day. So I get a little bit of physical activity in there, which reawakens me. And more importantly, I get to remember exactly why I'm working in the first place, which is for him and my family. So that really motivates me and gets me pumped. So when I get back to my computer after that little break, I'm able to do a lot more. The last thing is just, remember to experiment. Not all of these things are going to work for you. Drinking water will, and eating a better breakfast will. But not all of those other things will work for you, or they might not fit in your schedule, whatever. And just try little things that you feel might work for you. So here's a fun fact about me. I found out, and I forgot where I mentioned this before, but it got quite a funny response from people. So you can tell me what you think. I found out that I speak better behind the microphone when I wear socks. Not shoes, not barefoot, but comfortable socks. I have no idea why. It really works well for me, and I'm able to become comfortable behind the microphone and speak on interviews and record my podcast more clearly. It just works. And I know that's a silly example, but it's just one of those things that I do that I know helps me become more productive. And it's probably more of a mental thing now, but it works. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. And I am wearing socks right now, and they're actually black socks. So as you can see, I pretty much share everything on my podcast and my blog, including the color of my socks. So yeah, those are all really quick, fairly easy little things you can do in your life every day that will help you become more productive. They truly do wonders. And again, like I said, they're really simple to implement, and they're pretty much free. So there you go. Now, in this last segment of the podcast, we're going to talk about what I like to call work hacks, actual work-related things you can do with your online business or blog to help you become more productive, which will include a lot of tools and resources that I use to stay on track. I had mentioned some kind of like a folder system earlier. I don't really have a name for it. I'll call it a folder checklist system, I guess, which I use to help keep track of all the different projects that I work on. And this is how it works. So for every project that I work on, I have a separate folder. This is a physical folder that you can touch with your hands, open up, put stuff in. I guess you could do this on the computer or on the cloud or something, or like in a Word document. But having the ability to touch this stuff and have separate folders that I can see right in front of me on my desk really helps. Now that folder will have a piece of paper inside that lists all of the steps in order from start to finish that are necessary in order to complete that entire project, with little check marks on each. So it's basically a procedure list from start to finish. Now these are for different things like creating iPhone apps, creating niche sites, doing other projects like that, WordPress plugins. These are things that can be created, completed, and eventually work for me to generate an income on autopilot. So things like writing blog posts for the blog or creating podcasts, that won't work for this folder system. But for things like iPhone apps and niche sites, this is what this folder system is perfect for, the different type of passive income projects that I like to work on. And here's a very kind of crude example of how it might look like. And this is just kind of made up. Well, actually, it's a watered down version of my iPhone application procedure list. That's again inside a folder. Whenever I create a new iPhone app, I have a folder for that iPhone app. So, the first thing we'll say, mind map the idea. Then we'll little check mark box next to it. Then wireframe or storyboard the application. Next is create graphics for the application, which will include the logo, the splash screen. The splash screen is the screen that shows up immediately when the application is open, kind of the branding screen, I guess. Buttons and other graphics, create those. Then it's write screen-to-screen description of the application for the developer, and then the next step is send to the developer. And then it says stopping point. And I'll get to that in a second about what stopping point means. Then after stopping point, it says receive the first version, then test on iPhone, and then reply with remarks and clarifications, and then another stopping point. The next is receive the second version test on the iPhone. If needed, reply with remarks and clarifications. If okay, then write description for iTunes, submit application to iTunes or the App Store, and then another stopping point. And finally, receive approval notice from iTunes, change launch date to tomorrow's date, which is a strategy you can use when submitting iPhone apps to iTunes. Because when you get approved, if you don't do anything as far as the date of availability is concerned, it'll go live in iTunes, but only be available on that date. So if your app gets approved at noon, you're basically only going to have 12 hours of exposure in that new app list. So what we do, I'm getting a little off topic here, but what we do is we set the date to the next day. So we'll have a full 24 hours of new app exposure in the App Store, which is hugely important. So that's just a little tip for you iPhone people out there. Then the next step is to create ads for the application in AdMob, which helps for marketing purposes, and then tweet and Facebook about the application, and then another stopping point. If you want to see kind of the checklist and see exactly what it looks like, you can go to smartpassiveincome.com/iPhone folder. No spaces in there. smartpassiveincome.com/iPhone folder to kind of see what this looks like. So now the stopping points. Each stopping point is a point where I'm either waiting for something else to happen before I can proceed, or I'm basically finished with the project. This is when I can utilize the time I have while waiting for other projects. So, when I'm working between stopping points, I don't do any other projects until I reach a stopping point. And all of my folders have procedure lists just like this for different projects, niche sites, all that stuff. They all have certain stopping points. And whenever I'm in the middle of working on a certain project, I don't get off of that project, or I don't work on anything else until I reach a stopping point. So, for example, if I receive the first version of the iPhone application from the developer, I only focus on this project, continuing to go through the steps until I reach another stopping point. So what this does, it actually keeps me focused, makes sure I do get the things that need to be done, make sure I do those things. And while I'm at a stopping point, things are still getting done, just not by me. So that's how I can kind of get more things done all at once. And like I said, ebooks, niche sites, setting up a blog. There's many other ways that this kind of strategy will work. And guess what? Because it's a procedure list, if you really get detailed with it and actually include the how-tos for each of the steps, which you can easily include or put footnotes or whatever, you could hand the whole thing off to a virtual assistant, and they would get it all done for you. It would all be done for you. So even if you wanted to set up a brand new niche site, if you did it right the first time, created this procedure list, hand it off to a VA, they'll do everything for you. And there you go. You have, an income stream without you having to do pretty much anything. This is something that I created, which is probably a combination of a bunch of other productivity strategies and methods and mindsets, but it totally works for me. This is how I get a lot done at the same time, how I work on multiple major projects at the same time and keep things straight. I currently have 2 folders for different WordPress plugins, a number for niche sites that I'm working on and iPhone apps, and another project, which I'll talk about in a second at the end here. And I know that each of these folders is a potential income stream, which is totally motivating. That's why I like to see the physical folder in front of me. I have like 6 or 7 in front of me right now. I can flip through them, and each one of those is a potential income stream. So again, totally motivating. Things will overlap. So I'll come to stopping points at certain times, or I'll have the ability to work on multiple projects at the same time. But really, you have to focus on working on one thing at a time, and that's kind of the purpose of the system. And so you'll have to prioritize the various projects and decide which ones to work on first. But the main point, like I said, of using a system like this is, 1, seeing the steps that you have to take next. It's already laid out for you. Seeing how far along you are in the process, and also making sure you work only in one folder at a time until you reach a stopping point. This is how you get things done, or this is how I get things done. So if you're going through a project for the first time, you might be wondering, well, how do you create a checklist if you don't really know what you're doing? Well, the list kind of evolves as you do this more and more. My iPhone app list has definitely changed from the beginning with this folder checklist process. But if you're going through the process for the first time for whatever projects you're working on, do your best to create the list by doing research first, following the footsteps of others, things like that. And yeah, the first time it'll take a little bit of time, but you know what you want the end result to be, so you can sort of somewhat fill in the blanks behind you, fill in the gaps backwards from your end goal. And once you've done it, when you rinse and repeat, it'll be much, much easier the second time around. So if you actually look on the list at smartpassiveincome.com/iPhone folder, you'll see that the first thing I talk about is mind map the idea. And there's might be a few of you out there who don't really understand what mind mapping means, and that's what I want to talk about next. That's my next kind of work hack, a way to really get things done and organize your ideas. So mind mapping is a way to see your ideas in a bubble diagram format that allows you to really easily organize your ideas, create kind of a hierarchy so you can have sort of a self-guided brainstorming session, as well as make things easier for you when you turn your idea into something more than just that idea. So mind mapping is something you can do to create your folder checklist if you haven't done so already, which is cool. So I use a mind mapping software called MindMeister, which you can test drive for free through my affiliate link, which is at smartpassiveincome.com/mindmaps. That's plural. And I literally use this tool almost every single week, especially when I come up with new ideas and I want to take those ideas and turn them into a product. Each of my WordPress plugins, my niche sites, my iPhone apps, they all start with mind maps. And a mind map will start with a central idea, with new ideas branching off of the central idea and related ideas branching off of those. And what's nice, like I said, is that your ideas become a visual aid in your productivity process. So for example, let's say I wanted to create an ebook about fly fishing. So I would start with that central idea of fly fishing and branch off of that. I could branch off and create kind of a second tier, a second layer, and talk about fly fishing gear, or maybe fly fishing strategies or fly fishing locations. From that second tier, I could branch off even further. So from fly fishing gear, for example, I could create a third tier topic related to fly fishing gear called fly fishing rods, fly fishing reels, fly fishing lures, and I can go even further beyond that. From fly fishing rods, I can talk about flexible rods, stiff rods, freshwater rods, saltwater rods. From there, I can talk about the different brands of each of those things. So it goes on. And at the end of this whole thing, after brainstorming, reordering, and kind of creating this whole hierarchy of stuff about fly fishing and stuff that I want to include in my book, you'd see a tree that is my ebook. That that whole thing becomes an outline. Your table of contents, it's just right there, kind of self-built for you. And then bam, there you go. You have the chapters already laid out for you, all the subsections. You could plug them into a folder checklist like I do, knock them off one by one, maybe just creating some stopping points in between so you can work on other projects. And then you've got yourself an ebook. So that's an example of how you can use mind mapping to help streamline the product creation process. Really great for generating ideas and really great for making it easy for you to take those ideas and turn them into something. Now, I just came across a cool tool that I've been using. This is, somewhat related to mind mapping and ideas, but this more specifically helps me remember things. I spend a lot of time generating ideas, like I talked about earlier, sometimes hundreds of different ideas in a day, which is kind of crazy. Maybe not hundreds, but in a week, I can definitely come up with 100 really good ideas. And as I said before, I like to keep track of these things and write down everything, even if it's not related to online business or blogging. And the tool I use is called Evernote. I'm sure some of you have heard of Evernote before, but if you haven't, it's basically a cloud-based sort of note-taking system. Now, cloud-based means that the information you provide is stored on the web. So what's nice about that is I can have access to it, change it, update it, delete things, add to it from any computer in the world, and even through my mobile phone. So I have an iPhone, and if I'm on the go and I have an idea that pops in my head, I can just, maybe the idea is like a new blog post or an idea for a new product or something. I can just take out my phone, open up the app, the Evernote application, and type in a note, and it uploads onto the cloud. And when I get home, it's there for me to remind me on my computer, or add to my mind map or whatever. And I can also take pictures with my phone, upload them along with a note, or take voice recorded notes, which I do often, especially when I'm driving. Totally helpful. It's a great way to kind of have a second brain, if you will, or a storage system, because I can be a little forgetful at times, and I won't, using Evernote, I don't have to worry about forgetting certain things that I know are important because I put those important things into Evernote immediately when they pop into my head. So definitely check that out if you're interested. That's been really helpful for me lately. Now, there are two last concepts I want to talk about when it comes to doing business online, staying productive. And I know the show's running a little long, but this is all about being productive. And I know, 2011 is coming up, so I want to give you as much information as possible. The last two concepts I want to talk about are eliminating distractions and consolidation. Now, Glenn from viperjill.com writes a lot about these types of things. He calls it minimalist internet marketing. And he wrote an article about minimalist internet marketing, which I'll put in the show notes, and I definitely recommend you have a look at. Remember, this is session number 12 of the Smart Passive Income podcast. But here are a few things you can do to eliminate your distractions. And first and foremost, just turn off that which does not help you with what you should be focusing on. So if you're in a folder checklist and performing a certain task, turn off all the distractions, especially Twitter, Facebook, and email. Yes, your email. Seriously. That @ reply on Twitter or that status update on Facebook, missing that for, an hour or two will not have a dramatic effect on what you're trying to accomplish at the moment. And your email, just turn it off for a little bit. You check it way too often. So there's actually a funny tool not a funny tool, but it's actually quite helpful. I've used it a couple times. There's actually a tool for Mac you can use called Self-Control, where you can choose to literally disable websites of your choice, and there's really no way you can have access to them until the time you set up has expired. Even if you close the app, restart your computer, hack into it or whatever, there's no way you can access those websites until the time is up. So for things like Twitter and Facebook, that can be really important and useful, or if you're on eBay too much, or I don't know what sites you're looking at, College Humor, I don't know. So for things like Twitter and Facebook that are useful for your business, they can be useful for your business, obviously, social media, connecting with your audience and your customers and whatnot. I have 2 30-minute blocks scheduled each day where it's okay for me to use them. So that way I don't feel guilty with when using them, and I feel like I have left time for me to get stuff done at another time. And lastly, having a to-do list like the folder checklist, which I just went over, that helps a lot in itself because it will keep you focused on the tasks that you need to perform. And you'll kind of have to train yourself that there are no exceptions to that rule, that you shouldn't jump from project to project. And again, it really helps to turn off those distractions while you're trying to focus on those tasks. So just remember to reach that stopping point before you can do anything else. That's really what's helped me the most. And it does take a little bit of training, but I've been able to do a lot in a short period of time by staying focused that way. Now, there's a lot of other ways to eliminate distractions, but these are 2 tactics that have helped me the best. And a clean desktop, actually, which Glenn talks about a lot, will go a long way too. For consolidation, it's all about shortening the length of time it takes to do something that would usually take a lot longer. So one cool tool that I've been experimenting with is called Postling. Postling, which you can find at postling.com, Postling. It's a free service that kind of consolidates and manages all of your social media streams. So you can see your Facebook, your Twitter, your Facebook fan page, and even your blog comments, the comments on your blog and other blogs that you've been commenting on. And I think forums too, actually. You can see it all there, and you can even reply and share from your Postling page as well. Another consolidation tool I like to use is called NetVibes, NetVibes, which is also another recommendation from Glenn Alsop, which you can use as a hub to do a number of different things. Too many to list here, actually, but on my NetVibes page, I have the ability to read all the RSS feeds from blogs that I'm subscribed to. Those get updated automatically. I can watch the Twitter streams from people I follow, see exactly where on the web people mention my name or my brand. I can even set up a stock ticker on my NetVibes page if I wanted to, because I have stocks that I watch daily. And, there's a lot of other options available, and it's really easy to set up, easy to organize, drag and drop capabilities. And as Glenn puts it, it's a really great way to kind of create a brand hub, or a place that you can always go to get all the things that you want in one spot. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. That's all I want to talk about right now. I think I've given you a lot to work with, a lot of ideas. To finish up, sort of related to all the things we've been talking about so far, to conclude, I think the biggest distraction really for many people, including myself, especially in the beginning when I was starting, was worrying about what other people are doing. It's great to read other people's blogs and be inspired by them and their success stories, but really in order for you to find success, you can't worry too much about other people. Don't compare yourself to others. There's really no good that can come out of that. Just worry about your business, worry about improving your own business, and use other people's stories and their successes as examples, as fuel for your own. And just the knowledge and that reaching that point is possible. But again, it's only possible if you take action, which I'm sure those people that have inspired you have taken. So go ahead and do the same and become a success story and be an inspiration for other people. So that's it. That's session number 12. It's in the history books. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And hopefully you will become much more productive in 2011. I wish you all the best. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. Oh, and before I go, I want to tell you about something that actually I'm really excited about. I'm glad I remembered this. It's about the niche site duel between Tyrone Shum and I. And actually, as you know, we both hit the number one spot in Google for our keywords, and we're actually getting into other niches and finding successes with those too. I actually created a second niche site, and in a month and a half, I'm on the first page of Google, and I'm making a few dollars each week through AdSense already, which is great. And I plan to do a lot more as far as the monetization on that site. Now, anyways, a lot of people have started their own niche sites as a result of this niche site duel between Tyrone and I, and many people have been asking both Tyrone and I for one-on-one help, which is great. It's really humbling, and it's such an honor for people to come to me for advice for creating niche sites. So, Tyrone and I sat down because we've been getting a lot of requests, and we decided to open up a small coaching program to teach those who are interested in building a niche site. And we're really excited about this because it's not just a simple, typical membership website where you go and we have videos up or maybe an ebook or something. It's not like that. This is a hardcore classroom-style course where we're actually going to be working closely with a few students for 8 to 10 weeks, meeting once a week in a webinar-style classroom-type format where each week we're going to teach you something. You're going to have a week to implement it. Then we're going to come back the next week, and you're going to implement the next strategies. And by the end of the whole thing, hopefully you'll have a successful, high-ranking niche site that'll be making some money online, and you'll have the knowledge you need in order to rinse and repeat that process and create your niche site empire. So we feel this is the best way we can reach more people while working closely with them to make sure that they become successful too. So, if you're interested, please head on over to nichesitecoaching.com. It's actually a very limited course. There is a premium price, but when you think about how much some webinars cost, $97 a webinar, we're going to meet with you 8 to 10 weeks. You're going to have full email access to us. You're going to be working closely with us. We're going to kind of walk you hand in hand and make sure and hold you accountable to your success. So, you'll see the price on the sales page there. But we know we're going to be providing so much value for you, much more than the price that you'll see there. So again, head on over to nichesitecoaching.com, nichesitecoaching.com. The link will be in the show notes as well. You'll see a video explaining more about what you get, what's included, how long it'll take, the schedule. And actually, we're only taking 20 students. So there is an application process after you fill in the email and after you fill in your name and email on the opt-in form on that page, you will be sent a list of questions, just three easy questions, but we really want to get to know who our prospective students will be because we know this is in high demand, and we want to select students who will be willing to work with us for that period of time, who really want to succeed and who just really stand out to us. So again, nichesitecoaching.com. I've never done anything like this before. This, to be honest with you, this is my first kind of coaching experience with people, but I think it'll be really great to work closely with people and watch them succeed. So check that out. And yeah, thanks for listening. The deadline to apply is December 31st, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So you have until New Year's to sign up. Again, nichesitecoaching.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate your time. I know this is kind of a more lengthy episode than usual, but I'm kind of surprised that it was this long when it was just me. That's great. I guess that means I was having fun. So thank you guys. Have a happy holiday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care and goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? Score App helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. But a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands.